Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Logan Paul. Teddy. I respect the fuck out of you. I think you're one of the best trainers out there. But I think you're off base on this one. Before I get into that, hit the thumbs up, sub, and hit the notification bell. That way you can get updated when I drop the newest content like this. So Teddy Atlas was talking about his worries about how Mayweather is a counterpuncher, how he's going to be the shorter, smaller, and not as lengthy guy. And he also was going on to talk about stylistically, how Mayweather is a counterpuncher. He's going to fight from the outside, and that's not going to be too good for him against Logan Paul, who's going to be taller and longer. So he'll be able to control the range from the outside. Then he goes on to say that it's a 6-round fight. It got moved up to 8 rounds. But even at that, 6 to 8 is not that big of a difference. It's not like it's going 12 championship rounds. And he was saying that he doesn't believe Mayweather may have enough time to work. And then you got to look at a 30-pound difference, the strength difference, and the age difference. Now, here's what I want to say really fast about this, okay? I disagree completely with what Teddy's saying about Mayweather being a counterpuncher. Yes, he is a counterpuncher. And later in his career, he perfected his defense to where some people called him boring. Some people said he ran. No, he didn't. He outboxed them and made it look easy. So some people didn't like that style. But he perfected his defense, perfected the shell, and it was uncrackable, okay? Now, that was later in his career. However, go look at Floyd Mayweather's record, and all you're going to see is TKOs, KOs, RTDs, which are corner retirements, etc., at the beginning stages of his career. Almost every fight that he had was a knockout win. If you don't know what a knockout win is, there's more than one way to get a knockout win on your record. Okay, when you see a guy, say he's 20-0 with 18 knockouts, those don't have to be you sleeping somebody. How you get a knockout added to your record is somebody being unable to continue the fight. So if you sleep them, if the referee steps in to save them, if they quit in their corner, the corner throws in the towel, the doctor stops the fight because of a cut that was inflicted by a punch, or whatever other reason, you win by knockout. It gets added to your record as a knockout. All of Floyd's first fights were by knockout wins according to his record. Okay? So moving past that, Floyd was very seek and destroy. Now, as he got older, he said his hands weren't as good, so he started using orthopedic gloves to put more padding in there, and that's why he said he became more defensive. I could see that, but at the same time, as you develop in your skill set, you get smarter, you start to outthink people, and you really rely more on your brain than you do aggression going in there. You outthink your opponent, and that's what Floyd did. That's why when you see Floyd, he gets in there, not now that he's retired, but when he was fighting actively, you can see between the first round, second round, he's like a computer collecting all that data, and then he just completely shuts down the guys because he's thinking. And that's what he did. He became wiser and fought smarter, not harder, maybe not as fun to watch, but a lot more technical, a lot more skilled, and that's what he did as he got older. However, that was against high-class, world-class fighters. That was against other world champions, current ex or top-tier fighters, okay? This wasn't no guys that he was being super calculated against that only had 1 or 2 fights. He was fighting guys that were seasoned veterans at the top of their game. So he outthought them, outboxed them. But again, coming back full circle to what I was saying, at the beginning of his career, he was very much seek and destroy. He wasn't just a counterpuncher. After he retired, he kind of did do seek and destroy. Look at what he did at Tension. And he even brought up the Conor McGregor fight and said that he did adapt, he did change. He thought that Mayweather wasn't doing good on the outside, so he started to attack. But even in his last professional fight against Conor, he went seek and destroy. And Conor McGregor, a lot more experience in fighting, especially hand-to-hand combat, than Logan Paul. Now, here's the thing about it, and this is what I want to bring up too. Let me finish my point, though, because I'm about to go on a tangent. So, yes, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is very capable of going seek and destroy if he chooses to and when he chooses to. Did he do it against elites later in his career? No. But Logan Paul is by no means an elite boxer. So that fear, like when he fought Tension, is not there. He's going to go for him because he's not worried about the sweet science with a guy who doesn't really know the sweet science. Now, when it comes to Logan Paul, now we're going to go on the tangent. Let's talk about Logan Paul. We saw Logan Paul fight twice against the same guy, KSI. KSI, who looks no different than Nate Robinson when he boxes. He literally puts his head down, runs forward, and looks like he's just swimming without water. He's just windmilling, Deontay Wilder style, looking for a punch, windmilling. That's all he's doing. KSI is a horrible boxer with horrible skills. And Logan Paul couldn't beat him. Scratch that, reverse that. Let me say this. I honestly thought Logan Paul beat him. I thought he got cheated out of the win because Jack Reese took 2 points away from him. Had he got those 2 points not deducted, he would have won the fight. But at the end of the day, he lost. In the history books, he lost to KSI. But the fact that the fight was that close against a guy with zero boxing ability or skills tells you he is not a boxer. Jake Paul has shown the ability to be able to box on some level. Logan Paul has never shown the ability to be able to box at all. Whenever he was getting hit against KSI without the headgear on, he didn't look like he knew how to take the punches or what to do. And he looks like he has some type of power because he landed, I believe it was an uppercut on KSI that dropped him. And it was really the first clean shot that he landed. So yes, he may have power, but here's the thing. He's a big guy. He's got a lot more weight than Floyd Mayweather Jr., and that is correct what Teddy Atlas was saying. 9 times out of 10, he is stronger than Floyd Mayweather Jr. However, this is not UFC. This is not MMA. In boxing, your strength, how powerful you are in the gym, really doesn't matter unless the referee lets you hold somebody in the clinch and you do what they call dirty boxing to where you hold on and hit with the free hand. Case in point to that was Chisora versus Usyk in the fight that they had where Chisora was holding on in the clinch and banging him out with the other free hand. If a referee allows you to do that, then yes, size, strength can play a factor. But the thing about size and strength in boxing is it doesn't play as much as a role because you can't grab somebody. You can't pick them up. You can't scoop them. You can't slam them. You can't hold them down. And if the referee is staying up to the rules of boxing, you can't even keep them held in the clinch for any long period of time. So your actual natural strength doesn't matter. Now, where strength can help you is in punching power. Despite what some boxing trainers want to believe, the stronger you become, the harder you will be able to hit. Now, if you have no knockout power, lifting weights will never make you a knockout artist, but it will improve your power. It's just like if you're not an Olympic sprinter, you're never going to be one. But if you train like one, you will be faster than you were born. If you train for power, you will be able to hit harder, but only by so much. So my point of this is to say strength doesn't really matter in a boxing ring. It doesn't really matter how strong you are unless you live in the clinch, and most referees won't let that happen. And I guarantee you with Mayweather being on the card, that referee is not going to let Mayweather be held in the clinch. So strength to me is not a factor. Now size, that can be a factor. Weight, that can be a factor because, again, when it comes to the clinch, you can lean on top of somebody. Case in point to that, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder in the rematch. Fury, every time they came together in the clinch, was putting 100% of his weight on top of Deontay Wilder to tire him out, to make those legs weak, to make that power not be as strong because he doesn't have the same energy in the gas tank. Yes, it can help you there. Size, height, length. It can help you when you're jabbing from the outside, trying to keep the smaller man back. Or in this case, well, he is smaller and shorter. But here's the thing. Size, strength, power, even if you can knock somebody out if you hit them clean, it means absolutely nothing if you don't have the abilities to place the punches and land the punches. That's the problem here. It's not like Logan Paul can hold Mayweather down and then sock him in the face to where Mayweather can't defend himself, to create an opening, to keep him from moving. Logan Paul has to have the talent, the ability, the time, and the speed, the punch placement to be able to land these shots. Mayweather is so defensively sound that I don't really think there's anything to worry about, because Teddy Atlas was, worried for Mayweather, and I just think that that's ridiculous. I don't expect Mayweather to come in there and be defensive. I think maybe the first, second round, he may get in there, calculate the speed of the punches that are coming at him, watch how Logan moves, watch how his body moves, what his ticks are when he's throwing his punches or getting ready to load up to throw a shot. He's going to watch all that, learn all that. And then once he calculates it, I have all ideas. Mayweather is going to be exactly the opposite of what Teddy Atlas said, and he's going to go in there and seek and destroy. Now, will Mayweather knock Logan Paul out? It's a strong possibility. I don't know, because I believe after the second round, he's going to get more and more aggressive. The more and more Logan can do nothing, and the more and more Logan gets desperate and starts winging shots, is the more and more he's going to get counter punched. And that's the shots that hurt the worst. So as this fight goes on more and more, I see Logan Paul getting hurt more and more. And the thing about it is, 190 pounds can take a lot more damage than 147 pounds. Although they said Mayweather could come in at 160, even if he comes in at 160, still 190 can take more damage than 160. And that's assuming that there's not a weight clause that they can't gain weight by fight night. So let's say the maximum weight on the scale is 160, 190, then they can blow up to whatever they're going to blow up to by fight night. Now, if they have a weight clause to where they can only be 190, 160 the night of the fight, then it'll still be a 30-pound gap. So I don't know if Logan can blow up more or not, but here's the thing. You have to be skilled enough to impose your will, impose your size, impose your strength. You have to be skilled enough to place those shots to make that smaller target that can't absorb as much break down. Here's the thing. Even though that bigger body can take more damage than the smaller body, a little teeny chisel can knock down a mountain, because the mountain can't hit back. And if the mountain can't hit back, the little teeny chisel will just keep chiseling it away until it takes so much of that mountain away that it just falls over and collapses. And that's what this is to me in my mind. That's how this fight's going to go. Mayweather's shots may not hurt Logan at first. They may not hurt him. They may be, I don't want to say soft punches, but moderate. I don't even want to say moderately hard, because he is so much bigger. The bigger you are, the more damage you can take. But it doesn't make you immortal, and it doesn't make you unbreakable. So let's just say that the punches start off to where, this doesn't feel good, but it doesn't really hurt. Well, it'll go from this doesn't really hurt, but it doesn't feel good, to damn, this is really starting to hurt, I don't like it, to damn, this is really starting to hurt, to oh my God, every time he hits me, I'm starting to see fucking stars and my eyes are blacking out. That's the thing. You can get beat up to where something that doesn't hurt starts to hurt. You get tenderized. You know what I mean? And that's how I see it. Mayweather is going to tenderize him like a fucking steak, and he's just going to fold. Because at the end of the day, Logan Paul is not the boxer. He's never shown the ability to box, and he's never looked good at boxing. Unless something's happened behind the scene that we haven't seen since the last time he was in the ring, he stands no shot. And there's no reason to even be scared, because let me say this again. Size, strength doesn't matter if you don't know how to use it. You have to know how to use it to make it work. We're not talking about Anthony Joshua getting in there fighting Floyd Mayweather, a guy who was an elite level heavyweight. Or if we want to stick at, say, 190, the cruiserweight range, Okolie. We're not talking about Okolie getting in there and boxing Mayweather. We're talking about a guy who doesn't know how to use his size, who doesn't know how to use his strength, who doesn't know how to place his punches to even make it matter. That's what I'm trying to say, that you got to be able to hit the guy to make it matter. And landing onesies or twosies on him isn't going to matter because Mayweather gets in there with guys the size of Logan Paul and bigger when he's sparring. So Logan hitting Mayweather is not going to be anything new to Mayweather. It's going to be every day at the job. The big difference here is when Mayweather starts connecting on Logan, they're going to come quicker, more precise, and from places he doesn't even see. And he's never experienced that. And this is going to be the first time that he's ever experienced it. And unfortunately for him, it's going to be a trial by fire. And I just see him getting burnt. So I disagree with Teddy Atlas. I have no fears in the world at all about Mayweather winning this. I don't think it's competitive. I don't think it's close. I don't even think it should happen. If it was Jake Paul, I would give him more of a shot. I would not say that Jake Paul could beat Mayweather, but I would say at least he has a shot at landing that knockout punch. And then it's just a question of, can Mayweather take that shot from a guy who's been seen? Even though it's low opposition, you're still knocking people out. So even with low opposition, if you're knocking them out, you've got knockout power. So if he can knock somebody's lights out, he can knock somebody's lights out. And that would be the only it factor. If he can land it. If. And I don't think Jake can land it. I'm just saying it would be a more, what could happen in this fight versus Logan, who showed no boxing abilities at all. So that's how I see it. And yeah, I would not bet on Logan Paul. Stranger things, let me say this before I end this video because I was about to end it. I want to say this. Stranger things have happened. And if Floyd Mayweather Jr. loses to Logan Paul, then it's the boxing gods enacting justice on him. What do you mean, Tony? How is it justice? Because Mayweather once made this statement. I am better than Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali lost to a guy who only had 7 fights. I would never lose to a guy who only had 7 fights. I don't care how old I am or when the fight happened. There's no way a guy with only 7 fights could ever beat me. He said that about Muhammad Ali losing to Leon Spinks. So, you know, if Logan Paul does it, then it is the boxing gods humbling Mayweather for hating on one of the greatest to ever walk into that ring. And that's how I see it if he loses. But will he lose? Highly unlikely. All the stars would have to align, and one of the lights would have to break and angles to blind Mayweather to where he couldn't see the punch coming. That's the only way. It'd have to be some freaky ass shit that happens. Or Mayweather hasn't been training at all. He took this as a joke, and he gets in there and he looks 44 years old. That's the only way he loses. Because other than that, if he's on the top of his game, I don't see it being possible. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Do y'all agree with Teddy Atlas? Do y'all think Logan Paul stands a chance? Do you think the size, the strength, the power is going to matter? Or do you feel like me that in boxing, those attributes don't mean a lot if you don't know how to land shots?